why you should expect nothing less than a double dose of inspiration. Everybody, welcome to Loretta McNary Live for the very first time, and hopefully there will be others. Miss Ashley Berges. Hi, Ashley.
Hey. Good morning, Loretta. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Gosh, I love the show. It's great.
We have a lot of fun here. I may or may not take calls depending on how deep we get in our conversations and if there's a stopping place, and we may take a few. Who knows? We'll see how it goes because we have so much to talk about, so much to share with our audience today, and with you being a certified master life coach, I thought we could kind of talk about several different areas of topics today, if that's okay with you.
I'm up for it, Loretta, whatever. I'm here, so I'm just glad to be on your show.
Okay, well, let's just give everybody, a brief background of yours, and then we'll start talking about some of the things you've done. And, you're always on the news somewhere talking. They love you. It's like you're part of their staff because when I went to I Googled you. Of course, I Googled all my guests, so it's nothing. I just like to see how awesome they are. I hear how awesome they are. I say how awesome you guys are, and then I can back it up with the Google. So I love that. So just tell us how you got started with what you're doing, and, we'll go from there.
Well, Loretta, I think we all kind of get started how we get started, and I think that life has really propelled me into, some people say that it's real life knowledge and base, and then you have your education, and you have your secondary education, and you kind of fall into or you recognize finally the thing that you're good at. And I think a lot of times we start on a certain path, right? And that path is either dictated by our family or what we think we should be or what society probably deems that we should be. And then we finally find that thing, that thing that we realize, hey, we've always been good at this. Let's make it work. Let's really explore it. And a lot of times it can be uncomfortable to begin with. I think because a lot of times we're having to work with the fact that we want to be good, we want it to work, but at the same time we're scared of our own success as well sometimes. And I know that sounds weird, but I think for most of us, I'm sure for most of your listeners, everybody knows that they want to be successful, but yet at the same time we find ourselves kind of scared of success because what happens if we win? What happens if we actually can do this? What happens if we actually do what we set out to do? And so that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I'm so glad you said that because I was talking to a friend last night, and she and I have had this conversation many times, the same conversation. She says, and I love her dearly, and I can understand why she is in this area, and I want you to probably, to say something that can help her. She is still waiting. She doesn't know what she's supposed to be doing. She's so talented in so many areas, but now she's like you said, almost afraid that when she does this, she's going to become super successful and her whole world is going to change. And so she's still stuck in that place of, I don't know what to do.
I understand, and it's a lot of times we have to kind of find ourselves. And I think the first thing, advice to your friend, to anybody that's listening that has the same dilemma in their life, is kind of just sit down and really clarify, writing down things that you've been good at. Really think about the things that when you were a kid that you love doing, because, it really goes back to that. And that's what I found is that I used to write when I was a kid, when I was 5, 6, 7, defining love and defining this and defining that. And then I was in debate, and I was second in the nation in debate, and I would define justice and social ramifications, and I would give this stuff to my mom, and I was so proud, and she would read all this political essay definitions of, value argumentations, and I finally realized, though, there's only going to be a small group of people that's going to read that, but yet I understand the human condition. I can understand people, use that to my advantage as far as making that into something that I can create that I'm not having to wait on other people to do. Because a lot of times we try to create something, but we need other people involved, which we always need other people involved. But a lot of times we have to bring something to the table that we can kind of somewhat control. And I know control is an interesting word, but we can control ourselves and what we do. And our work ethic is a big deal. So I think if she can kind of go back and think about what is it that she loves to do as a child, what really brings a smile to her face, what really makes her happy, get away from everything that society says, get away from everything that her parents did, or what she thinks she should do, to really find that and kind of embark on that. I think she might be pretty happy.
Yeah, and you know what? She's done that, and that's great advice for people who have not reached this level where she currently is. And you do have to get rid of all that stuff. It's like you have to get rid of your excuses. And of course, I want us to talk more about that too. But for her, she knows that she's an awesome singer, and everybody tells her that. She performs, and, I mean, people are just in awe. And so she makes excuses for why she's not doing it. She keeps saying she's waiting on God.
Oh,
she has
okay.
a book, and she's making excuses. The book is awesome. She does everything in excellence, but, I can't understand why she's stuck. She has a huge support system, and she is stuck.
Wow, yeah, okay.
How do you get unstuck?
This is a good one. Okay, so, yeah, she's going to have to take off those shackles. I think that, like you said, scared of success. A lot of times it's scary to make that next move because that next move kind of puts you out in that ocean. Right now you're in this small little pond. Things are good. You're feeling safe about it. Everybody's happy. There's going to be a change that's made. And maybe sometimes we inevitably don't want to deal with the change. But honestly, the longer we put it off, it's going to still happen. And sometimes you have to embrace it. You have to embrace it and say, this is what I am now. Things might change. I don't know about her family life, but my husband might react a certain way. My kids might react a certain way. My friends might react a certain way. But I have to do what's right by me because what happens 10 years down the road from now when I haven't done that and I'm so upset about what I've allowed to out of my hands. I've left this talent, and if she believes that God has actually helped her with that, God gave her that talent, and she's just turning her back to that. So at that point in time, 10 years down the road, and you haven't obtained anything, how upset are you going to be that you didn't do that? And it's just, you don't want to live like that. I would say if she just needs to light the fire in her butt and just realize that there's things that are going to change and probably be thankful for it. And then I know it's kind of scary, though.
Yeah, obviously it is very, very scary for her. And I was reading on your webpage, liveyourtruelife.org, that you were talking about the negative mental records that we keep playing over and over again. And so as you were speaking, addressing my friend, I say she's stuck, then that came to my mind that maybe it's her mental record that she keeps playing over and over again that causes her to not be able to take another step forward. What do you think about that?
That's really, Loretta, that's really smart. That's a deep thought because a lot of times we create these records in our head, and sometimes the problem with these records are these records can be created as a child. These records can be created in your teens, your 20s. But the problem with these records is there's two types of records. One is the record that exists in your head because every time you go out to do something for yourself or to be successful or to put yourself out there, you hear that record saying, you're no good, you need to just sit back, there's more people that are more talented than you, don't make a fool of yourself, just don't get involved. That's one of the records. The other record could be a record that you don't even hear anymore. And so instead of hearing all the negativity and then acting in the negativity, you don't hear it, and so you just don't act. And so that's the thing is that sometimes when we get to the ages of 20 or 30, that record might have been playing for a really, really long time, and because it is, right when you're about to do something and really put yourself out there, you don't because there's something in your head that's telling you, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, this isn't going to happen for me, I'm not talented enough, there's other people, I don't want to make a fool of myself. And that's when you have to sit back and say, we are all the hardest judges of ourselves and really kind of get in your mind. And I have techniques to do that of how to find that broken record because we actually act based on that record. Even if we don't know what the record is, we can still find it because we'll act from it.
Wow, see, I'm loving this conversation already, and we're just 10 minutes into it. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next thing because I want you to talk about your certification as a master life coach because I think you are definitely a prime example of someone who has the certification just by me just off the cuff sending you these scenarios and example and you're giving us all this great feedback. So I can definitely say it is definitely attributed to you being a certified master life coach. So tell us about that process and how that works.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, coming from you, I mean, that's just, I really appreciate it. You know, being a master life coach is, well, first of all, you have to understand the human condition. You have to understand yourself. You know, prior to doing all this certification and everything, you know, I went through several 10-day, can't speak to anybody, you know, retreats where you had to really get to know yourself. And it's really interesting, you know, when you lose talk and you can't speak to anybody, what your mind will really tell you. But being a master life coach, as being certified, you have to go through some vigorous certification. You have to go through some vigorous mind training. And the thing about it is that our minds all work differently. So, you know, like what I do with my clients, I'm more of a visual person. Some people are more feelers, thinkers. And in order to discuss anything with people, you have to understand what level they're at. Because if you're a thinker and they're a feeler and you're trying to explain something in thought and they don't feel it, they're not going to get anything. They're not going to understand it because they're not even speaking their language.
Right.
You know, so that's like the basis of it. The second part is to understand that, you know, everybody has their faults, and everybody has that one thing that they do better than every single person on the entire planet. So there's something that you do besides everything that you do, which is TV, radio, but all that combined, you do something that nobody else can do. And if you can find that thing, and that's what I've figured out, and I've taken past the classes, past the certification, if you can find that one thing within each individual that you meet, that person then has the drive to take their lives to a different level. Because I have something that nobody else can do. Everybody I meet has this thing that they can do so much better. It's hard for people to find it because they don't believe that they have that within them. You know, because we've all been kind of beat down a lot, you know. Oh, well, I'm not as good as that. Or, you know, you look on TV and, I don't have a voice that great. And I don't sound like Dionne Warwick, so I shouldn't go and sing. Or I don't, you know what I'm saying? Or I don't act like, you know, so-and-so, so I shouldn't go out and try to do this. But it's like everybody brings something to the table. And so as getting a master certification is different from a life coach in the fact that I also do a lot of holistic, whole client work. So it's not just let's discuss this problem and figure out the resolution. It's from all sides because, like anybody else, we have different sides of us. You have your career, Loretta. You have your personal. You have you know, working out, health-wise. And so all those things have to go together to make a person a happy, healthy person. And so that's kind of where that all comes into play.
Wow. Now that was profound because I really love how you say that everybody in this world has something that they are so good at that nobody else can do as well as they can. That can make a big improvement not only in their own lives but in this world is what I'm hearing you say. And I love that because I believe that because I'm Christian. I know that God gave us all talents and some of us, you know, 2 or 3, depending on how you want to really, you know, develop those talents. So I'm with you on that. But it's so sad when you think about it that most people don't understand that. Even if, and that statement is profound whether you're a believer or unbeliever, whether you're rich or whether you're poor or whatever. It doesn't have any boundaries because we all do have talents that can take us so far in this world if we were to use them. And the sad part, like I was saying earlier, is that very few people really embrace that statement.
It is sad. Very few people realize it. And the saddest part about it is just that they're really turning their backs. And if you are a believer in God, or if you're not, but the point is that we've all been given these gifts. And to turn your back on it is to turn your back on something that was given to you. And I've realized something. It's like if you don't accept what you've been given and you don't make the most you can of it, the gifts will stop.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. And they're there, you know, but if you don't reach out, it's like I said, okay, I'm going to send Ashley what's a real expensive car? A Lamborghini. Okay. And Ashley says, Well, I don't want that. I haven't done anything to deserve, anybody sending me a card, and I'm just, it just does not fit with where I am, or whatever your excuse is for not accepting that gift. I equate that to the same thing of not taking what you're really, really good at and making something happen. Now, I know I'm not, looking through rose-colored glasses that all of us were not meant to be entrepreneurs. All of us were not built to be CEOs. All of us were not built to be, Academy Award winners, in the sense of television. However, all of us were meant to be great in our own areas, and it depends on how great you want to be. If you want Academy Award status, or if you just want to, be within your family and be the best you can be, then that's fine. Then we should reach out to that, and we should accept that gift.
I agree with that totally. Oh, I agree with that totally, because it's so true. It depends on what level, too. If you would rather sing at your church, and be a part of your church instead of being on Broadway, that's where it's at, because if family means a lot to you, means more to you, and you want to be part of your family, that's great. It's just being about the best you can be where you are.
Right. Exactly, and that's all I'm saying on that. So I want to move on to, because I know you were the counselor, the life coach for Big Rich, Texas.
Yes.
Yeah, how was that? I saw the video. I actually know somebody who was on that show. So how was that experience, and how did it come about? Because I know everybody in Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth, everybody knows you, so I'm not surprised. I just want to hear about the process, how you got to there. Was it a phone call? Was it somebody saw you in a restaurant and said, hey, we want you? Or how did that happen?
Well, actually, I have a press agent here in town, and her name's Michelle Lamont, and so she got a call from one of the producers with Big Rich, Texas, and so they wanted to meet up, and I guess they were looking for a life coach to come on the show. And so I guess they had talked to several other different people, and so then they met with me, and they were like, I think this is
wow.
I think this is the connection. So we basically we did one shoot, thinking, okay, we'll see what happens. And I told Michelle, I was like, I don't want the scripted. I just want to be real. And they just need to talk to me about what they're wanting out of this deal. And so we talked, and I worked with Kaylin on Big Rich, Texas, and she was having some issues, both personal and family, and dealing with her mom, and dealing with being estranged from her father, and all kinds of different issues. So I came in, and we kind of worked through some of it, and I kind of assumed that was it. And then that's when they called me back again and said, well, we want you to come back. And so that's when I worked with Kaylin. I worked with Kaylin dealing with her dad, and I worked with a lot of clients reuniting, especially daughters with their fathers. And I don't know, it's good and bad. It's a sad state of affairs, but you can really change it. And there's a lot of girls out there that have bad relationships with their dads. And it's sad, because the thing is that the same girls take that situation and they look for men under this kind of disguise of what a man should be, based upon the fact that they didn't really have a good relationship with their father. So if you can change that around, usually the girl involved will actually do something good in her life as well with male entities. And I know that's hard. It's kind of hard to explain on the fly like that, but basically I was working with Kaylin to try to, better her relationship with her dad. And so then, after we kind of worked with that, and I guess they ended up shipping her out to California, and then her and her dad actually reunited.
All right.
Yeah, so they actually have a really good relationship.
If you were able to do it, start that, because, we know reality TV is entertainment, but real life does happen, as you just explained, that real life happened by you being on the show, and now she was reconnected with her father. Now, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's reality TV at its best.
It is, and it wasn't even planned, which is funny, because, reality TV, there's some things that are reality. I mean, for the most part, it's reality, but there's some things that are completely sideways, something that's not expected, And so after not speaking for over 2.5 years, they're rebuilding a friendship as we speak right now, which is so good, because that's going to change Kaylin's life exponentially for the rest of her life, because instead of regretting issues with her dad and instead of taking things out both ways, because both of them were not in the right. It takes two people to tango. It takes two people to have issues, not one.
Mm-hmm.
So her dad needed to step up to the plate. She needed to make some changes, and that's what they did. So
I love that. And just that that will always be a part of your legacy, that you were on that show and how impactful and helpful you were with helping to initiate that. So that is big ups to you. So I know you have a book out too. Can we talk about your book and that writing process and how long it took you? Because I also have a book and people are, well, how long did it take? That's the biggest question. How long did it take you to write your book? So how long did it take you to write your book, and did you always want to be a writer?
Well, my first book took me a while. Like, it didn't take me a while to write it. I ended up having to I rewrote it 5 times from scratch, but it took about 2 years to finally get the first book out, The third book, which just came out in December, took a lot shorter time. Once you get used to it and you get used to the process, it gets easier, except for I'm kind of a little bit of a perfectionist, and I'm dealing with that on my personal life coaching things on myself. And I realize that sometimes you just got to let it go. But, yes, and it came out in December, and it's the 10-day challenge to live your true life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great.
It's a 10-day challenge to live your true life. So by day 10, you should be a whole lot further to living your true life than you were if you had not picked up the book.
Most definitely.
But we all know it's more than just reading the book. You really have to implement the advice and, do the examples and all that, right? Because it just doesn't happen because you read the book. I'm sure something does, but to really get what your end result is, you have to do what some of the things are.
Well, definitely. And, it's like and every single chapter is really, it's a day. And so each thing kind of ends with a personal reflection where you kind of have to take it to the next level. And it's not like homework. I'm not giving out homework, but, it's things that you can change in your life. So if you're dealing with negativity or you're dealing with energy suckers in your life, figure out your strategies for dealing with it, after you read the day or the chapter, and then start looking around in your real life and seeing who are mirrors in your life. What part of your life are they mirroring? And so there's a lot of things that you can kind of start really understanding your environment, and once you're able to really see what's around you, you can really implement changes pretty quickly.
Yeah, because the hard work has been done for you. The research, the practical, challenges have been overcome, hopefully a lot in the book, and so now all you have to do is just read it and try it. What do you have to lose? You don't have anything to lose. At best, at worst, you're going to be better than you were even if you just read the book. And I love books like that because you really are. You really are better if you just read the book. And then you are so awesome if you finish the book and implement the advice that's in there. So, okay, so 3 books out already. So, okay, I love it.
Yeah, I got to get you a signed copy, Loretta. I got to get you a signed copy, and you got to tell me what you think. So, I mean,
you're so awesome.
I think you're gonna love it because it's just one of those books that it goes really fast, too, and it's not made to be one of those hard textbooks. It's got some deep stuff in it. It's got some stuff in it that you're not going to see anywhere else. But it's also going to help, to speed up the process a lot, because I think we're all at that level where we just need that extra oomph sometimes to really just make our life just really work in cohesion. And that's what this book's really about.
Well, and that's inspiration. That's just like how you recharge your battery. Like if your battery's dead in your car, you plug it up to another battery that's already fully charged, and it starts your battery. But you still have to do some work. You got to, drive the car, get some maintenance on it so that the battery will become just supercharged. So that's inspiration. We're just here to give you a boost of energy so that you can go out and make things happen, because that's what happens when you get stuck or when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. All the cliches that people use for when you're not really thinking that you're living the life that you want to live, like your true life or something like that. So inspiration doesn't do the work for you. This conversation is not going to get you from A to B, but hopefully it will motivate you to want to go from A to B. That's always my hope for, conversations that are had on this show. So I know you also, I was looking at, I'm telling you, honey, when I do my research, this team over here, McNary Productions, we do our research, so we know all about you, Ashley, and the fine work that you're doing. So can we talk about the weight loss part? Because I saw the video where you had helped this guy with his weight loss journey, and you did call it a journey and not a destination. So can we talk about that?
Most definitely. Most definitely. You know, weight loss is, like when we were talking about coaching before, you know, weight loss coaching is directly, you know, related to the physical, mental, emotional state, you know, of each client. And it's just so important because we all have a goal. And so that's where we started with that particular client, is that he had a goal to lose weight, and he made an agreement, and it happened to be a New Year's resolution, that he wanted to lose X amount of weight. And it's hard because, first of all, you got to have somebody that's going to be there to help you out. You got to have somebody to have your back. You got to have a friend that's going to say, Loretta, whoever it is, you want to lose weight. Let me help you. Let me be there. Let me be your support system. Sometimes that support system could be somebody that's also going through the similar process, or it could be somebody that holds you accountable. You know, and that's a good thing, no matter what it is. If it's losing weight, if it's not spending as much money, if it's stopping going to the mall, if it's slowing down on drinking, if it's quitting smoking, whatever it is, especially with losing weight, you need somebody to hold you accountable, as well as you got to be consistent. So a lot of times I've lost weight too. I mean, I had a surgery a few years ago that prevented me from working out and all kinds of things. And so I lost 15 pounds of solid fat. This was about a year and a half ago. And I had to be consistent. I mean, the first few months I didn't even lose any weight. And I would sit there and go, oh, my gosh. I mean, I've eaten everything right. I have steamed vegetables and fish every night. I work out all the time. I have no sweets. I have no fun, you know, and I can't even have more than a glass of wine, you know, at dinner because of the calorie count. But then eventually it starts working, and it becomes that momentum. And if you can just stay with it for the first, I would say that first month is the hardest. And eventually that momentum starts, and you start losing weight, and you start seeing results. But there's going to be a time period that you're not going to see results. The biggest thing about weight loss, though, is I kind of created my own diet, and I figured out what works and what doesn't. And one of the biggest things you want to rid yourself of is salt. And so that's one of the part of Master Life Coaches that I'm a weight loss coach as well, because salt itself is one of those things that it might not make you actually gain weight, but it's water weight gain. So when you get on that scale in the morning, or you look at your stomach and you go, oh, I'm so bloated, and it can be a deterrent to really keeping that agreement with yourself. And so eliminating salt, getting rid of that, getting rid of the bloat really helps us pump up our self-esteem. And then on top of that, it's eating right, and it's eating consistent, and it's being consistent, and it's, you know, getting some workout in, getting some walking in, getting some exercise in, and finding people that are like-minded with you. And, I mean, it can be done. I mean, I even lost more weight even after I quit smoking.
Wow, and see, that's like unheard of, like you said, because most people say, and I've never smoked, so I don't know, but just listening to, you know, family members or friends, that when they don't want to stop smoking because then they're going to overeat and they're going to gain the weight. So you actually lost weight after you quit smoking. That's interesting.
Yeah, I did, and it wasn't really any harder, but it was one thing that you couldn't substitute something for another. Because a lot of times when we quit smoking, somebody wants to substitute smoking with eating, you know, because that's the next viable. Because food is a drug.
Yes.
You know, anything is a drug that's not in moderation. And that's the thing, is that if people abuse food, food is everywhere. You know, and that's hard, because if you're going to change and say, well, I'm not smoking, so I'm going to eat. And so that's kind of the thought process is, you know, you can still lose it, but you got to really focus on your goal and maybe make exercise more of the drug.
Yeah.
Or maybe eating well more of the drug, you know, and that's you kind of got to put your thought process in a different mindset. And so that special was really good on CBS 11, because it really put in perspective that you can actually take a goal and actually make it work. But it's all about consistency and having somebody that has your back, having a, you know, a partner that can really keep you and saying, okay, you shouldn't, probably shouldn't be eating that ice cream, or you said you're in the gym, aren't you going to go to the gym? Somebody that's really going to hold you accountable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really important, because that's how I've been every time that I was able to lose the weight and keep it off because I'm here, I'm there, I'm trying new stuff. And especially since I'm on TV now, people are coming to me with all these friends, Loretta, can you try this? Because they know if it works for me, guess what Loretta's going to do? She's going to tell the world, right? So I get all these products just basically mailed to me, and, if I'm out somewhere, they want me to try this. And so I don't like adding things, especially if it's a capsule, because I figure, it may do what it's going to do temporarily, but then my body got to figure out how to digest that plastic. So I'm just not filling capsules and all these different shakes and all that stuff. But if you have an accountability partner, if they hold you accountable, because I'm one of those persons, when I'm working out with a personal trainer, they have to be really, really strong, Ashley, because I have this way of, I'm a talker for life. I get paid to talk, so I can talk my way out of pretty much anything. So I have to have a trainer and a life coach who is so stern and so, don't become my friend, because I'm pretty sure I can talk you out of why I didn't do something. So I need somebody that's tough like you, because I can see you on some of those shows. You're very, very tough. And then some you're a little more relaxed. And so you have to know, you have to be that way, because your clients are all different. And some things work for this client and won't work for another. And obviously you figured out that balance. So I just want people to understand, don't try to do it by yourself. Make sure you have somebody who's going to be honest. Loretta, you had some cake last night, and you need to hit that gym early in the morning, extra 10 to 15 minutes on the treadmill to kind of balance that out. And thank God I have that kind of person called my mom. My mom, oh, my goodness. Woo!
Yeah, see, that's what you need. You got to have somebody that's there for you, because, the thing is that we all are good, and I would assume that you're probably really good at talking your way into or out of anything. And, people, you have to have somebody that's going to hold you accountable, And on top of that, I think that eventually once you see, the problem is it's just the beginning, but once you see results and stuff like that, it usually snowballs where you begin really loving the way you look, loving the way you feel. But in the beginning, it's just hard, because sometimes the results aren't there, or sometimes you feel like you're kind of going backwards, so.
Right. But the important thing is to hang in there, because your body is really making some changes. Sometimes they're not easily looked or found on the outside of your body. But when you start exercising and you start eating right, trust me and trust Ashley, your body is changing. It's just microscopic sometimes, and I know for sure that it is, but you got to hang in there. When that scale is not moving, get the tape measure out and measure your arms, measure your waist, and I promise you're going to see some changes. Your body has to change if you start taking better care of it. It's like obligated to change. Now, it's going to be a slow process, because you're doing it in a very healthy way. So just don't quit. Please don't quit.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, I want to tell people how they can find you, because my next line of questioning is going to probably take us into infinity, because the topic I want to talk about next is relationships. So let's tell people now, while I'm thinking about it, how they can find you after this conversation. Give your Facebook, your Twitter account, your website. How can they find Ms. Ashley?
Oh, yeah, definitely. For all Loretta's listeners, you can find me on Facebook under Ashley Berges. It's just Berges, just E's and S, so Berges. You can find me on Twitter, Ashley Berges, Berges, and you can find me on my website, which is liveyourtruelife.org. And so if you just put in Google and put in Live Your True Life, or even get near that, Live Your True, you will find it, and you can get on that website as well. And there's a huge blog, and then also my radio show's on there too, which Loretta will be on my radio show coming up here this Sunday, which is called Perspectives. Yeah, Perspectives.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Perspectives. Yes.
And so you can hear all past radio shows on that website as well, and then all the blog, and then you can contact me for coaching, either in person or phone coaching on that website too.
Okay, so you do phone coaching, so there you don't have to live in the Dallas area. You can coach anyone all over the beautiful world.
Yes,
right?
do phone coaching, and then I also do some personal coaching outside of Dallas. I do have some clients in Los Angeles, and but usually those are set up bi-monthly. So I do that, and then there's a few other cities that I'm at, but sometimes I do the telephone conferencing, which is obviously sometimes easier, especially if it's a situation that needs to be taken care of in a timely manner.
And I encourage everybody to, work with a personal life coach, because you can say, I can work with my friend, and like I kind of joked about my mom helping me with my latest weight loss, but she has been able to really keep me more focused longer than anybody has. I got to tell you that, and like I said, she just has her own way with me. But personal life coach is so important, because friends will, it's hard for them to tell you the truth. It's difficult because they think their friendship is on the line and they love you so much, and, they don't want to say that thing that may disappoint you or may anger you. But a personal life coach, they lay it on the line for you, because they realize if I'm going to help that person get to their end result, whatever that is for that person, then they have to be very, very, almost brutally honest. So I have worked with them in the past. I have worked as a life coach, so I really encourage everybody to just call her and see if, there's some synergy, first of all, and then if she can help you guys. So make sure you check out her website. So let's talk about perspectives, because like I said, once we start talking about relationships, I'm sure, I may not remember anything else. Especially being in the entertainment field, relationships are a little difficult for, I'm finding that out. But we'll talk about my personal issue in a minute. But let's talk about Perspectives, your radio show. How long you been doing it? I know it's Sundays at, is it 8 p.m.?
Yes, Sundays at 8. Sundays at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and it's on 570 KLIF locally in basically the kind of the metroplex here in Dallas Fort Worth. But it's also every Sunday live at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on iHeartRadio. So on iHeartRadio, if you go to iHeart.com, you can just put in KLIF, Cliff, KLIF, and it'll come up the live broadcast. And the show is called Perspectives with me, Ashley Berges, and basically the show is about dealing with life issues. In this last show that we just had, we discussed what success is defined as. And, we were kind of talking about that Drake song, Successful, and how you define success in your life, and I was kind of kidding about the cars and the houses and the clothes and the hose. I was kind of kidding. I was like, I don't know about the hose. I don't know if I need that. But really, when you put it in perspective, what is it that defines success for you? And we kind of talked about that. We talked about goal setting. Is it real? Is it debunked? And basically, we figured out that it's like dreams versus goals. And if you have a great dream, that's a great dream. And I love dreams. And I think dreams are great. I think people should dream all the time. And imagination is wonderful. But at the same point in time, if you have this great dream and you never create a goal or goals, several goals to get there, it's going to stay a dream. And so we talked about that, and then we also talked about the concept of a lot of people sit there and say, oh, well, so-and-so just fell into whatever. They just fell into this. And I was talking to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was talking to a friend of mine.
Yeah, it was overnight, but it actually took 25 years, but, I understand
exactly.
that,
yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I had somebody come on, and they were, in a band, and a good friend of mine, and they're like, oh, yeah, and I was like, tell me how many gigs you think you played. And they said, oh, I don't know, maybe 5,000. And I said, and out of those 5,000, how many of your friends have made more than 10? Okay. And they were like, oh, you're asking me a lot. But that's the point, is that a lot of times people think they came out of nowhere. Oh, Loretta just started this out of the middle of nowhere. Well, no, that's not the case. People worked really hard to get where they are. Now, sometimes there are some people that maybe it's a little different scenario, but for the most part, people really put a lot of work into it. And that kind of also went into the whole concept of haters on one of my previous shows, which was about, like, haters in your face versus undercover haters. And you got people that hate your face and just say, hey, I don't like you. And you know what's up. And you're like, okay, I understand that you don't like me. That's fine. But then you have people that are your friends, in quotation marks, that do not help you at all get you where you need to go. You know what I mean? They're undercover hating. So when they see you on Facebook and they see something oh, well, so-and-so's doing that. Instead of liking it and commenting, they look at it, they go, okay. And it's a subconscious thing in their head, or subconsciously they're not happy with where they are, and so they don't want to build you up any, because they feel like if they build you up or say anything, it's going to bring them down, which is a sad state of affairs, but it happens. And so there's a lot of times when you have to sit there and do kind of I don't know, like a friend. You got to kind of look at who you're spending time with, you know, and make sure that everybody's on the same level, because it's all about helping everybody. It's not about pushing other people down to get where you want to go.
Right.
And so that's kind of like
Definitely
what
not.
we talk about. Yeah, those are the
Okay.
things we talk about on the show, you know. And so,
I
you know,
love it.
yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, we were talking about undercover haters for like 2 shows, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, I love that." And I was like, "Well, yeah, it's like, you know, when you got something going on and you're on TV and nobody says anything about it, and you have a few friends that bring it up, and you're like, well, thank you, and everybody else saw it, but they don't say anything. That's not good. You got to bring up your friends. You got to help them out. You got to be supportive. I mean, you got to love when things good happen to other people. And that's
so difficult for people to do, because you when you were talking about that, it was like you were looking into my world when you were saying that, because I know that happens, and I had posted something on my Facebook page, my own Facebook page, about, you know, you should live your life so wonderfully well and do what you want to do so that the haters will, you know, you'll have more haters. Because we know why they hate, and it has nothing to do with that person. It has everything to do with the person who is doing the hating. And this lady says, well, Loretta, I don't really agree with that statement, because not everybody has haters. And I was like crickets. I'm like, honey, I don't care who you are. From the time that you enter this world, there is somebody who is not going to like you. Everybody in this world has somebody who, and more than one, that does not like you, not because of anything you've done to them or because you were mean or you were just too pretty. It's just that people are just so unhappy in this this hurtful world that they're not going to like you just because. So I do believe, and I stand behind that statement, that everybody, I don't care who you are, there is somebody out there, and there are probably many people who don't like you. So you got to understand that. And it is not just the people who are in entertainment or sports figures. It's everyday Joe. There's some people who don't like him, too. So
there was an interview with Matt Damon that was pretty funny. There was an interview with Matt Damon a few months back, and I can't remember what show it was on, but he was talking about how he loves to read the stuff on the Internet, all the bad stuff said about him, because it really puts him in his place. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you know, non-acting hack. You know, he's got a big head, you know, all these things. and you know, it's easy to sit there and throw attacks from an internet when you're faceless. And it's not you out there putting yourself out there. And I understand some people just have issues, whatever. But for the most part, you're right. I mean, everybody has haters. And a lot of times, like you said, exactly like you said, it's because people are unhappy. And it's not maybe necessarily always driven by the person they don't like. It's driven by the fact that they really don't like themselves.
Right, and that's it. And then you talked about success. I got to go back and listen to the archives of that show, because I think for me, success is just relative to that person. Because for me, success is more than, now, a few years ago, I used to think, you know, the bigger the house, the bigger the car, the more successful you were. But that really, today, is not my definition of success. Success is being happy with where you are, what you're doing, and that you're making a difference in the lives of other people, not just your own. And when you arrive and you're doing that, I think you're successful. Be it a child, a teenager, you know, a senior citizen or whatever. If you're helping somebody else and you're happy and you live a life of integrity, then you're successful to me. Now, some people are going to be super duper successful and, you know, all of that, and I understand that too, but I just want people to know, don't think because you don't have, you know, big houses and cars and, you know, a ton of things behind your name that you're not successful too. So I just want people to understand that. So we're going to have a ball, Ashley. And we're going to have to do this show, first of all, more than once, because we only have 15 minutes and I have yet to get to relationships.
I'm up for it. Whatever you say, I'll be on again.
And I have yet to take a phone call. So callers, you know how it is on this show. When I get it's about my guests, and I know you have questions, so you can Facebook me. And some of the things that I've said has come from Facebook or Twitter. So, but if you can get a call in, maybe we'll take one. I don't know. But so, Ashley, I really admire what you're doing, and that you are so easy to talk to. It feels like I've talked to you before, and I never have, and we're just flowing in the flow of things.
I love it. Yeah, we just talked right before the show. I mean, I called in. I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" No, but that's the way it is. It's like, you know, people, for the most part, you get along with people, and it's great interaction, you know. And I mean, you're such a great talk show host. It's just so easy, you know.
Oh, you're sweet. You are too. You are too. And you know what it is? What I'm finding, and I get that a lot. That's because I'm Loretta McNary, not in the sense that I'm Loretta McNary, a personality or whatever. I am uniquely, authentically, transparently who I am, which
awesome.
I found liberates other people to be who you are. Because I'm going to accept you. I'm going to love you. I'm not going to be negative to you, whoever you are. I don't care about all that other stuff. I have never cared about it. I wasn't raised. My mom and dad made sure we didn't care about outside anything. We care about the inside of a person. So, and I treat people that way. I don't care about that. And
that's awesome. That's where I used to live.
Yeah, and I know. Yeah, I was going to say, and you are. You were born in Memphis, so we have so much in common. You know, we should really get together and do some kind of event. You and I will do something.
Yeah, I love that.
You're from Memphis. I'm from Memphis. You have a radio show. I have a radio show. You wrote a book. I wrote a book.
See, I mean, we got a lot in common. I mean, Memphis is great, too. Yeah, I love that. I was like, hey, I'm from Memphis, too. You know,
I know. I love it.
It's a great people.
Great people are from Memphis, I tell you. And I'm just glad that, you know, people that are from Memphis and they've gone on to do even greater things, they still will tell you, I'm from Memphis, and say it proudly. That means a lot to me. So, let's see. Well, this clock is just ticking because I want to just slow it down a minute. I have a ton more questions to ask her. Okay. I'm having a ball.
Let's get another hour.
Can we just slow down everything else? And I love your picture for your radio show. You absolutely embody all that's great about Dallas, Texas. I mean, you have, it's like you're so powerful and so tall, but yet you're easy to talk to, is what your picture says to me. So I like that. Yeah, it does.
Thank you. Oh, you know, it's good. It's funny because my voice is kind of interesting. I have a funny little anecdote real quick off to the side. I don't know how colorful this might be, but when I was younger, I remember there was like some events that I'd go to, and I'd have to fly out there, and so I'd be on the phone with people before I got there, and they'd be like, "Okay, yeah, I'll meet you at the airport, pick you up," and I'd get off the plane, and they'd have the sign. And I would walk up to them, and they'd be like, no, you're not Ashley Berges. And then I would finally open my mouth and like, oh, my gosh. And I was like, what? And they're like, I was expecting quite a larger woman, somebody that looked like they could beat me up. And I was like, okay. I go, my bad. I go, my voice can be deceiving, you know. But, yeah, so that's always kind of funny. I remember that when I was younger. I was like, okay, yes, no, but I'm her. But
so you actually had the big voice when you were little?
Oh, my gosh. It's like
Ashley.
my whole life.
Oh, really?
My whole life, I always wanted to have that really cute high voice. I can't even do it. Like that really high, cute little voice, bubbly voice that all like the cheerleader girls would have in school. And I'd be like, oh, you know, Lindsay's got the greatest voice, or Tracy, or whatever. I'd be like, oh, gosh, I wish I had a voice like that. I would even try to prank call, you know, people like in middle school. And I would try to change my voice, and they'd be like, hey, Ashley. Don't change my voice. And it was just crazy. You know, I always wanted that high voice, but I didn't get it. And I never got an older brother either. My mom said it was a little late to ask for that. So there's a few things I haven't gotten. Those two things. But, you know, it's all good. You know, it's sometimes your voice, you always want that really cute little high voice, you know, like, but it just didn't happen. So.
Oh, and sometimes that can be overly irritating, you know. And so, but your voice is so unique, and it's so funny that, you know, you see your pictures. Most people will see you before they hear you, so they're already, you know, engaged, want to be engaged with you. So the voice does not, you know, determine whether or not they're going to talk to you. It doesn't intimidate them once they get to, see your picture and they read about you. So, but yeah, you have a unique voice, and that's what makes you ready for radio and TV because it's unique. So that's your trademark. That's your trademark. So.
Well, it's funny. I've had people at their house, like, doing something. Next thing you know, they'll have the TV on in the background, or they're cooking or something, and they'll run out of the kitchen. They'll be, I heard Ashley. Where was she at? And they say, oh, there you were on the TV. And I was like, oh yeah, we kind of laugh about it. But I was like, oh, at least I got you out of the kitchen to go check out the TV. So at least the voice is working on something. But yeah, but when people meet me the other way around, it's just pretty funny. So when they hear the voice, then they meet me. That's really funny. So that's good.
Yeah, because I used to get laughed at and picked on because I had this voice as a little girl, because my mom and dad were just, they knew that first impressions were first impressions. They just prepared us for the real world. And so we couldn't, talk slang around my parents. We couldn't talk broken English. We couldn't do any of that. So I would always get teased, and people would say, I was this and I was trying to be that and all my life. And so, again, I'm having the last laugh because now I get paid to talk. So, the irony of that. So just be careful, kids, of what you're being teased at and what you don't like about yourself, because that's what's going to set you apart and help you really make a big mark in this world. So
that's
just
so true.
And it works every time. If you talk to other people, you'll hear that they said the thing that they didn't like growing up or what they got teased about, and now they're making money using that talent, their skill, or that uniqueness, then they, too, will have the last laugh all the way to the bank.
I want to laugh to the bank.
you just do it. You just laugh when you go to the bank. You're already doing it. So I know you specialize in a lot of different areas as a certified master life coach, and we talked about several of them briefly. It by no means touched it was not the totality of those areas, but we're just loosely touching on them, like the weight loss and the we talked about addictions and how, even food can be a drug. And we didn't really get a chance to talk about your strategic business coaching for individuals in national blue chip companies. And I wanted to talk, and we didn't get a chance to talk about entertainment much, other than us, you and I being in that field that can kind of, you can work with them on that too. And relationships, that's so key. And when I say relationships, I'm not talking about only just between, intimate relationships between a man and a woman or, whatever. I was talking about with, your children, with your mom, and with your friends, because those relationships are also important. And I think the one thing, what makes a healthy relationship in either of those scenarios, Ashley?
What makes a healthy relationship
is
respect.
Yes.
And understanding and realizing that person is not in your mind and they don't mind read. Even though you might think they can sometimes, but they don't. And you have to just tell them what's going on and express it in a way that, shows that they're valued in your life. And even though we sometimes, have arguments and arguments and fights with other people, it's fine. That's healthy sometimes, but it's just to, respect them enough to say, hey, this is how I'm feeling, or this is how whatever you're doing is having me feel at this time. And expressing it in a way that people can kind of understand and realize they're not under attack.
Yeah, and that works too corporately. When you have respect for other people, you don't have to like the people you work with. It helps. But if you would just have respect for them, then that would make life easier on your jobs for everybody. If you just respect them, you don't have to get the like out of there. We put too much emphasis on our feelings, in relationships, especially when we say if I like somebody or I don't like them. Well, that's okay. But you do have to or should respect people, because that'll help everybody be a little more comfortable and you can work together as a team. So I like that was the first word that you said when we started talking about healthy relationships, because I agree with you. Respect is huge. It is huge.
Mhm. Yeah, respect is key.
So you have what's next for you? What you always on the news in Dallas. You're always being quoted. You have over 500,000. You Google, you get all these pages of Ashley Berges, because she's doing this magnificent work here on this earth. So what's next for you? What is it that what's your goal for you? What's next? What would you like to happen next?
Wow. Okay. Yeah, Mike. Well, My goal is to continue to do what I'm doing, but my goal is I'd like to have a TV show, because I love radio. I'm trying to work right now on syndication on the radio show, and I love radio in its capacity. My only drawback sometimes is I can paint this picture, and people can understand the picture to a degree, but, TV is a medium. I can paint the picture and you can see the picture. And so sometimes there's no question in what I'm talking about versus what's really happening. And so sometimes in order to really pop an idea into people's heads and really get things going and driving and working and all this great stuff is that it's all meshing and melding and the momentum's happening. And when you can all understand where everybody's coming from at the same time. And so I'd like to do a TV show, something maybe weekly, maybe daily would be even great, actually, in the future. And then, just keep, I'd like to start working with some other people, too, all over, this great nation and really just start helping people realize, truly who they are and really understanding that they can change this world. They can be the change that they want to see in this world. They can, and they do impact people on a daily basis, but to understand that realistically and understand that everything they do is being watched by somebody else that's looking up to them. And so that's definitely where I'd like to continue to go and then maybe syndication as well on this radio show, working on that too. And, just trying to get the word out because the more people that can hear the message, the better it is. When the message seems to be contained only to a small group, it just doesn't seem right. And so that's what I'm really working on. And because I just think it would just be such a great world, even better world than it already is, if everybody can just kind of get this information that like we're talking about today. I mean, there's so many people that could really use this information and really could use this, it might take a little while to drum into the brain, or it could be an immediate, the engines are on and they're, okay, now I've figured out. And that's what I want to do, and I just don't want to limit it. So that's kind of where I hope to see, that's where my goals are, shorter, medium, and long term, I guess.
I mean, your passion for wanting people to really live, as you say, their true life just comes out, especially when you start talking about your immediate plans and the goals that you have and the things you want to see happen. And it's so unselfish of you to want to do these things, not so much for people to know your name and to build you up, but you were saying that you want people to get this information so that their lives can be better. That was profound. I love that. I absolutely love that that's what you are about, because that's what I'm about too. And, it helps, of course, because you have to have some kind of fame and recognition to be able to reach people on a large scale and to be on TV and radio. And you're doing that, Ashley. Don't ever think you're not. You're touching people. You're touching, hundreds of thousands of people, because when you make one person feel good, then they're going to go and share it. And even if they don't, people will see the new them, and then they'll start asking the questions. And, of course, at the end of that answer will be Ashley Berges. I heard her say something. I saw her do something. And so you are changing the world, girl. You are doing it.
Well, Loretta, you are too, and I'm just so glad that we have come together on the show, and I look forward to you being on Perspectives with Ashley Berges on Sunday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time this Sunday. And I look forward to doing more shows with you, and I look forward to having this Memphis connection where we start, doing some stuff, really drumming up, and getting people going.
We are. This is not goodbye. This is see you next time. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be my guest today. I'm excited about Sunday. I will do my best to promote and to be a great guest for you. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening to Loretta McNary Live. It is because of you that I'm able to do this Tuesday through Friday, and because of you